She told me her parents said I wasn't good enough, and I just said, they're probably right, and walked. Then I started dating a doctor, and suddenly her family was sending me dinner invites like they'd never judged me at all. When the text came in, I was mid-root canal on a patient. My parents think you're not good enough for me. I stared at the message on my phone, hands still gloved, the drill whining in the background. I typed back without thinking, they're probably right. But I wasn't done. A minute later, I added, then I became good enough for someone else. That message didn't happen that day, though. That came later, after everything exploded. After the dinner that changed everything. It was a Friday night in Dallas. Expensive steakhouse, low lights, that kind of place where the servers describe the salmon like it's a luxury car. I showed up right on time. The moment I walked in, I spotted them, the Whitakers, her dad, Roger, in a navy suit even though it was 95 degrees out. Her mom, Linda, pearls gleaming. And her, Emily, my girlfriend of 3 years, sitting there like she'd rather be anywhere else. Ethan, you made it, Roger said, standing like he owned the place. Of course, I said. You said it was important. It was. They just didn't warn me it was about dismantling my life. We did the usual small talk, weather, traffic, the restaurant's history. Emily barely spoke. Then her dad cleared his throat. Ethan, we wanted to talk about your future. And our daughters. I knew instantly what was coming. You could smell judgment like cologne on that man. Roger leaned forward. You're a dentist, right? Respectable. But we worry about long-term compatibility. You run a small clinic, yes? 3 chairs? 1 location. I nodded. 4 chairs, actually. Right, he said, with that tone rich people use when they think you don't know your place. Emily was raised to expect a certain standard of living, travel, connections, opportunities. You're comfortable. But comfort isn't ambition. Linda jumped in like she'd been rehearsing this. We just want what's best for her. You seem stable, but not driven. I looked at Emily. What do you think? She couldn't meet my eyes. I think they have a point, Ethan. You're happy where you are. You don't really push for more. It hit harder than I thought it would. I'd met her entire extended family, helped her move twice, been by her side for 3 years. Apparently none of it counted. Her dad sighed like he was delivering mercy. We think it's best to part ways before things get serious. For everyone's sake. I stared at Emily. You brought me here to dump me? With your parents? She flinched. I thought we could talk about it. Talk, I said. You all already decided. The silence was thick enough to choke on. I stood up, dropped my napkin on the plate and said, you know what? You're right. I'm not ambitious enough for your daughter. Not successful enough for your standards. Message received. We're done. Roger looked genuinely confused. No hard feelings? None at all, I said. You did me a favor. And then I walked out, calm on the outside, but seething on the drive home. Not at them, at myself, for letting comfort make me small enough for someone to call me not enough. That night, I called my business partner and said 5 words that changed everything. We're expanding, starting tomorrow. When I first met Emily Whitaker, she was the kind of woman who made you forget where you were standing. We met at a friend's rooftop party in downtown Dallas. She was laughing, really laughing, at something stupid someone said, and I remember thinking, she's the kind of person who gets photographed at charity galas, not someone who ends up with a guy like me. She worked in event marketing for a luxury brand. Her family had money, old Texas oil money, the kind that bought lake houses and family foundations. I grew up in Waco, son of a mechanic and a nurse. No generational wealth, just hard work and steady progress. I was proud of what I built. A small dental practice, a modest apartment, a paid-off car. When we started dating, she loved that. Said it grounded her. Said I was refreshingly real. That phrase haunted me later. Her parents didn't show up much at first. When they did, they were polite in that distant sizing you up kind of way. They'd ask about my practice, my earnings, my 5-year plan. Roger loved to talk about scale and vision, which always made me feel like a line item in his mental portfolio. Still, I tried. Invited them to dinner, bought better wine, dressed better. Emily told me I didn't have to impress them, but she'd also adjust my tie before we went in. Mixed messages became our love language. The first cracks showed around year 2. Emily started saying things like, "You're comfortable here, right? You don't ever think about expanding?" Or, "You should hire someone to manage the front desk. Make it more professional." She said it casually, but every comment came with a hint of her father's voice behind it. First, I brushed it off. I was comfortable. I liked being hands-on, knowing every patient by name. But comfort has a way of dulling your edge, and looking back, I can see how I stopped chasing growth. I told myself I was content. Truth is, I was scared of failing, scared of overreaching. Then the holidays came. Her parents invited me to their ranch house outside Austin. It was the first time I saw how deep their control ran. Roger would talk over her. Linda would interrupt her. Emily would shrink without realizing it. That weekend, I watched her transform from my confident girlfriend into a careful daughter who wanted approval like oxygen. And still, I loved her. Enough to ignore the warning signs. Enough to believe her when she said, "They'll come around once they see how happy we are." They didn't. When I told Roger I wanted to propose, he didn't even fake enthusiasm. He said, "You should think carefully, Ethan. Marriage isn't about feelings. It's about alignment. Do you really think you and Emily are aligned?" That word, aligned, stuck in my throat for weeks. When I finally bought the ring, I hid it for months. Then one night, Emily came over, quiet, distracted, her phone buzzing nonstop. When I asked what was wrong, she said, "My parents want to talk to us. They just want dinner." And that's how I ended up sitting in that steakhouse, listening to people in pearls and suits tell me I wasn't good enough for their daughter, and watching her agree. I thought that night would be the worst humiliation of my life. I was wrong, because months later, after I rebuilt everything they tried to tear down, I found out why they wanted to meet me again. And that reason was darker than I ever expected. The months after that dinner felt like being rebuilt from the inside out. I went from furious to obsessed. Not with revenge. Not yet. But with proving to myself and maybe to the ghost of that dinner table that I wasn't the man they dismissed. My business partner, Marcus, noticed it first. "You're on fire lately," he said one night after we closed the office. "You okay, man?" "Never better," I lied. Within 4 months, we doubled our patient load. I added cosmetic work, new equipment, new marketing. I worked 70-hour weeks. My hands ached. My back screamed. But I was addicted to the grind. Money started rolling in. For the first time in years, I felt momentum, real, unstoppable momentum. Then came her, Dr. Lara Singh, plastic surgeon. Met her at a healthcare networking event in Houston. She was confident, sharp, and nothing like Emily. She didn't ask about my 5-year plan. She asked if I liked what I did. That question alone felt like therapy. We hit it off instantly. She didn't care about family names or appearances. She cared about drive. She understood late nights, stress, the strange loneliness that comes with running something of your own. Within weeks, we were inseparable. Then came the first text from Emily. It was short. "Hey, hope you're doing okay." I ignored it. A month later, "I miss talking to you. Can we grab coffee?" Blocked. I thought that would be it. But people talk. And in Dallas, gossip moves faster than wildfire. Word got around that I was dating a surgeon. Apparently, someone from Emily's social circle told her parents. 5 months post-breakup, an unknown number texted me. "Hi Ethan, this is Linda Whitaker. We're hosting a small dinner Saturday. It's been too long. We'd love for you to come. Bring your friend if you'd like." My stomach turned. They'd cut me down in public, and now they were inviting me back. Like nothing happened. I showed Lara the message. She smirked. "Your friend, huh? Guess they don't want to acknowledge you as my girlfriend." "Even better," she said. "Let's go." When we showed up, the Whitaker smiles were brittle. Roger shook my hand too tightly. "Ethan, great to see you, son." Son. The same man who'd called my life small. Emily was there too, dressed to kill, pretending she wasn't dying inside. Dinner started polite. They asked about my new ventures. Laura charmed them effortlessly. When she mentioned her clinic, Linda's entire face lit up. A surgeon. How impressive. Roger leaned forward, suddenly full of interest. And you two work together? No, Laura said with a small, sharp smile. We just understand each other. Real professionals don't need their parents' approval to succeed. The air turned heavy. Emily's fork froze midair. By dessert, it was obvious what the Whitakers wanted. Roger cleared his throat. You know, Ethan, we may have been hasty in our judgment before. You've done remarkably well. Translation, you're finally rich enough for our daughter. Before I could respond, Laura set her wine down. So, 5 months ago he wasn't good enough, and now he's thriving. And suddenly he's worth reconsidering? Linda's face went pale. That's exactly it, Laura cut in. You thought you could do better. You couldn't. And now you're fishing for a redo. Silence. You could hear the clock ticking. We left right after that. Emily followed us out, begged me for just a second. Laura walked to the car, and I stood by the door while Emily whispered, I didn't know they were going to do that. I swear. I just wanted to see you. See me, I repeated. After helping them humiliate me in front of strangers? She shook her head. I made a mistake. I let them control too much. You let them destroy something real, I said. Now it's gone. When I got in the car, Laura said, that was fun. I laughed once. You have a twisted definition of fun. Watching rich people realize they backed the wrong horse? That's entertainment. I thought that was the end of it. But it wasn't. Because what started as petty family pride was about to turn into war. And they were about to cross a line so personal, it would make revenge not just satisfying but necessary. 3 days after that dinner, I started getting weird calls at the office. A woman claiming to be a new patient. Mrs. Lindale, she said, called 3 times in a day asking personal questions. Do you own your building? How many associates work with you now? Do you plan to open a new location soon? The 3rd time, my receptionist whispered, she sounds like your ex's mom trying to disguise her voice. I laughed it off, but the next morning, Marcus burst into my office with an email. Dude, look at this. It was from Whitaker Capital Partners. An offer to invest in our expansion project. Polite wording, but the signature gave it away. Roger Whitaker, Senior Managing Partner. They weren't trying to invest. They were trying to buy control. I called Roger directly. You think I'm stupid enough to let you buy into my business? He sighed like a disappointed teacher. Ethan, this is an opportunity. We can help you grow. It's all water under the bridge. Except you burned the bridge, I said, and then tried to buy the ashes. You're being emotional, he said. I'm being pragmatic. No, I said. You're being desperate. I hung up and blocked his number. That afternoon, I told Laura everything. She listened, face calm but eyes blazing. They're not done. People like that never quit when they lose control. She was right. 2 days later, Marcus got a call from our landlord. Hey, some firm's trying to buy the building you're leasing. Said they want to expand their real estate portfolio. I thought you should know. Guess who the firm was? Roger Whitaker was trying to buy the property we were about to use for our second location. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about me as a man anymore. It was about me as a symbol. I was supposed to be the guy their daughter left behind. The one she outgrew. But instead, I'd become proof that they were wrong. That they'd misjudged, underestimated, and humiliated the wrong person. And people like the Whitakers couldn't tolerate being wrong. I called Roger again. Call off your little purchase. Now. He tried to sound reasonable. Let's talk about partnership. You'd have access to capital connections. You'd have access to my life again, I said. Not happening. He chuckled softly. You're making this personal. It is personal, I said. You tried to ruin my name to protect your pride. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. Laura found me in my office staring at the wall. He's trying to buy the building? Yeah. She thought for a second, then said, Then let's buy the one across the street. That's exactly what we did. Within 2 weeks, we secured a different property, bigger, better location, and paid cash for the down payment. The day the sign went up, Silver Oaks Dental and Aesthetics. Coming soon. I sent Roger a photo of it. No text, just the picture. He didn't respond, but 2 days later, Emily showed up at my office. No appointment, no call, just appeared. My receptionist tried to stop her. You need to make an appointment. She ignored her and walked straight to me. Ethan, please, she said, voice trembling. I didn't know what they were doing. My dad's out of control. Then stop him. I can't, she said. He's obsessed. He says he just wants to fix things, but really She stopped, looked terrified. What? I asked. Her eyes filled. He's not trying to help me. He's trying to hurt you. She wasn't lying. Because later that week, my business partner's email got hacked. Our private financial documents leaked online, payroll, expansion budgets, vendor contracts. Someone had stolen them. And I had a pretty good idea whose money paid for that. That was the moment I stopped reacting and started planning. When I saw the leaked files, I didn't even get angry, not right away. I just sat there, staring at the numbers that represented years of sweat and sacrifice splashed across the internet, and thought, they're trying to erase me again. Roger had resources. He had people. And he clearly thought he could scare me back into irrelevance. But this time, I wasn't some polite boyfriend sitting across a dinner table while he dissected my worth. I was done playing defense. Marcus came into my office, jaw tight. It's the Whitakers, right? I nodded. No one else would have motive or access. You want to go legal? Oh, we'll go legal, I said. But first, we're going smart. That night, Laura and I sat on my living room floor with laptops, coffee, and a whiteboard. She changed out of her scrubs, but still had that surgeon's intensity in her eyes. We don't need to destroy them, she said. We just need to let them destroy themselves. We started collecting everything. The fake investment emails, the calls to my office, the attempted property purchase, the harassment. I had every message, every voicemail, every trace of Roger's arrogance cataloged. Laura contacted a lawyer friend who specialized in business harassment cases. Build a wall, he said, then bury them under it. Still, I wanted something bigger. I wanted humiliation. So, I did something that felt almost petty. I called a friend of mine who ran a small local paper. Told him I had a lead on a real estate firm, quietly buying up small medical offices across Dallas to manipulate lease rates. It wasn't technically a lie. Roger's firm had been doing that. I just made sure the story landed where it would sting. By the end of the week, there was an article titled Local Real Estate Group Accused of Targeting Small Medical Practices. No names, but the comments section did the rest. People connected dots. And the dots led straight to Whitaker Capital. Meanwhile, I hired a cybersecurity team to trace the leak. They found a contractor, a freelancer who'd been paid through an untraceable shell company. But the IP address he used had been logged once through an unsecured connection from Whitaker Capital's office network. That was all I needed. My lawyer drafted cease and desist letters for Roger, Linda, and Emily. They were brutal, full of legal firepower and evidence citations. We sent them by courier, signature required. Laura grinned when I handed her the copies. You're going for the jugular. They made it personal, I said. Now it's business. For a few days, everything went quiet. No calls, no messages. I started to think maybe they'd finally gotten the message. Then one night, Laura was getting ready for bed when her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered, listened for a few seconds, then her face went pale. Who was that? I asked. She held up the phone. Your ex's mom. She just told me to step aside, said I'm a temporary distraction, and that you and Emily are meant to be. She said, she knows things about you that she'll make public if I don't leave you. Something inside me snapped. Call her back, I said. Why? So she can hear me say this. When Linda picked up, I said, you're done. One more word to me, my partner, or my fiancé, and I will make sure every single investor in Whitaker Capital knows exactly what you've been doing. The harassment, the hacking, the false investment schemes. All of it. You wouldn't dare, she hissed. Try me, I said, and hung up. Lara turned to me. She said she knows things. What the hell does that mean? I had no idea, not yet. But the way she said it, it wasn't just a threat. It was a promise. The next morning, I found out what she meant, because a private envelope showed up at my office. No return address. Inside was a flash drive, and when I plugged it in, I saw something that made my blood run cold. It wasn't about me. It was about her. The flash drive wasn't labeled. Just a plain black stick inside a manila envelope. No note, no sender. I shouldn't have opened it, but curiosity always kills logic first. When I plugged it into my laptop, a folder popped up. Private, Ethan K. Inside were screenshots, spreadsheets, and 3 video clips. The first clip opened to Lara. My girlfriend. My anchor. She was sitting across a dinner table, laughing with a man I didn't recognize. Older, well-dressed, confident. Their conversation was low, but the subtitles told the story. Man. You've been seeing him for how long? Lara. 8 months. It's going as planned. Man. And the parents believe it? Lara, smiling they will. Once the expansion finalizes. I froze. My stomach dropped. The second video was worse. A private dinner at some upscale restaurant. Lara was with Roger Whittaker. They weren't flirting, but the tension was palpable. Roger slid a folder across the table. Lara looked through it, nodded and said, "He trusts me completely. If you want leverage, I'll get it." My hands shook. My first instinct was denial, it's fake. Edited. AI-generated garbage. But then came the third clip. It was recorded on a phone, shaky, but real. Lara again, alone this time, talking to someone off camera. Her voice was calm, detached. He's blinded by anger. That's what makes him predictable. Once he signs the partnership deal, Whittaker Capital will have majority stake before he even realizes it. And I'll be free. Free. The word echoed in my head until I couldn't breathe. I called Lara immediately. She answered on the second ring, cheerful, normal. Hey, you at the office? Where did you meet Roger Whittaker? Silence. I saw the videos, I said. More silence. Then, a slow exhale. Ethan. You weren't supposed to see that yet. That word yet hit like a knife twist. I felt the room tilt. You worked with him? I was working with him, she said quietly. It was supposed to be temporary. He offered me a cut to help smooth his way back into your life. To make you more receptive. You pretended to love me for leverage. No, she said too fast. That part changed. I fell for you, Ethan. I didn't expect to. But you were never supposed to find out. I could barely hear her. My blood was rushing in my ears. Was the flash drive from you? No, she said. I think it was from Emily. That made me go still. Emily? Yes, Lara said, her voice trembling now. Roger cut her off when he realized she told you about the hacking. She found out what he and I were doing. I think she's trying to take him down. I hung up. I sat there for 10 minutes in my office, staring at the paused frame of Lara's face frozen on my screen. The same woman who'd stood beside me while I rebuilt everything. The same woman who'd told me to bury them under their own arrogance. But now I was the one buried, in lies, manipulation, and a truth too tangled to process. I thought Roger's obsession was my problem. But he'd built an entire chessboard around me, and every piece on it, even the one I thought I loved, had been his from the start. What none of them expected, though, was that I wasn't done fighting. I'd spent too long being underestimated to quit now. If Lara and Roger thought they were playing the long game, they hadn't seen mine yet. Because I still had something none of them did: proof, leverage, and rage that burned colder than money ever could. And when I was done, they wouldn't just lose. They'd destroy each other. 2 days. That's how long it took before I learned why Roger Whittaker had gone this far. 2 days of silence from Lara, 1 missed call from Emily, and then a voicemail that changed everything. It was Emily's voice, low and shaky. Ethan, please. You need to know what my father's really doing. It's not just about you. He's not angry because you embarrassed us. He's angry because you were supposed to be his. Call me back. Please. I did. She answered on the first ring, crying already. I didn't know how bad it got until recently, she said. He's been using you for years. What are you talking about? Do you remember that dinner? When he told you your practice was small, not scalable. He wasn't just being cruel. He was testing you. He's been watching your business for a long time. Why? Because he wanted it. I didn't understand at first. Then she said it, the thing that froze me completely. Your clinic sits on property tied to one of his shell companies. He's been planning to buy out your lease since before you even met me. He wanted to absorb small practices like yours to build a health management portfolio, doctors, dentists, surgeons under Whitaker Capital. He wanted to use me to get close to you, to make the transition seamless. I couldn't speak. She kept going. He told me if I could convince you to partner, he'd fund our future together. Said we'd be set for life. That's why he pushed the ambition thing, why he made me question you. He wanted you motivated but insecure enough to take his money when he finally offered it. But then, you walked away. You ruined the plan. Everything clicked at once. The dinner wasn't a breakup, it was bait. Roger had tried to manipulate me into feeling small enough to need his investment later. He thought he could break me just enough to make me depend on him. And Lara? I asked, my voice dead quiet. She's part of the same setup, Emily said. After I refused to help him anymore, he brought her in. She was supposed to get close to you, gain your trust, and get access to your expansion plans. Her cut was supposed to come from the acquisition. Acquisition? I repeated, the word tasting like rust. Emily took a shaky breath. He told everyone you were too emotional to run a business. Said he'd save you from yourself. But once he realized Lara actually fell for you, he panicked. That's when he started threatening her too. She didn't send you the flash drive, Ethan, I did. She was trying to protect you from him, but she was still trapped. For the first time since all this started, I felt something close to fear. Not anger, not humiliation. Fear. Because this wasn't just a toxic family or a jealous ex. This was premeditated. Roger Whitaker hadn't just wanted to ruin me. He'd planned to own me. He'd built an entire network of shell companies targeting independent clinics, used his daughter as a scout, then replaced her with a professional plant when she failed. And when that collapsed, he tried to crush me financially and emotionally out of spite. That was his alignment. That was his definition of success. Everything controlled, everyone owned. And it wasn't just business. It was personal. He couldn't stand that someone like me, someone from nothing, had refused his leash and built something on my own. By the time Emily finished, she was sobbing. I'm so sorry, Ethan. I didn't realize what he was until too late. I sat there in silence. The line went dead after a minute. That night, I went back to the office and stared at the logo on my door. Silver Oaks Dental and Aesthetics. My name beneath it. Every piece of it hard-earned. Every inch of it built without their help. And for the first time, I understood exactly what revenge needed to look like. Not noise. Not confrontation. Exposure. The kind that doesn't just hurt pride, it destroys empires. The next morning, I woke up before dawn. Not angry. Not frantic. Just focused. The kind of quiet that comes right before a storm. I knew exactly what I needed to do. First, I called my lawyer, explained everything Emily told me, the shell companies, the property links, the planted relationship. He didn't even sound surprised. I've seen these corporate control games before, he said. But this one's personal. That makes them sloppy. We'll need documentation, contracts, emails, financial trails. Lucky for me, I already had them. Roger's arrogance left fingerprints everywhere. The fake investment emails. The false real estate offers. The payment trail to the contractor who hacked our files. Even the video clips on that flash drive, they were time-stamped, geolocated. Evidence gold. Next, I made one last call to the journalist who'd published the earlier piece on Whitaker Capital. You still looking into small practice buyouts? I asked. She was, good, I said, because I've got names, dates, and a whole lot of receipts. 3 weeks later, the article dropped. Prominent Dallas investor accused of coercion, corporate espionage, and fraudulent acquisitions. It named everything. Every property deal. Every fake company. Every manipulation tactic. It didn't say my name, but anyone in the Dallas healthcare circle knew exactly who the unnamed dentist was. The fallout was nuclear. Rogers' investors started pulling out. Lawsuits filed. The SEC got involved. Even his own board turned on him. Linda vanished from every social event she used to host. Their foundation shut down within a month. And Lara? She tried to reach out. 3 calls, 2 voicemails, and 1 long email that started with, "You don't understand what he threatened me with." I didn't answer any of them. She moved to Houston soon after. Emily texted me once more, "Thank you for ending it." I didn't respond to that either. 6 months later, the second Silver Oaks location opened. The waiting list filled before the doors even did. I hired 10 more staff, most of them young professionals trying to start their own lives. People like me before all this. Sometimes, when patients talk about ambition or success, I catch myself smiling. They don't know what that word really means, what it costs, what it's used to justify. Roger Whittaker thought ambition meant control. But what I learned is that real ambition means freedom. Freedom from people who think they can define your worth. Last week, I drove past the Whittakers' old house. For sale sign out front. Empty windows. Dead grass. It looked nothing like the fortress where they once measured me like a product on a shelf. I parked for a second, rolled the window down, and breathed. Not satisfaction. Not even revenge. Just peace, the kind that comes from surviving people who wanted to own you. On the drive home, my phone buzzed. A text from my lawyer. SEC just froze Whittaker Capital's assets. You're officially untouchable. I laughed. The first real laugh I'd had in months. When I got back to my office, I poured a glass of bourbon, sat by the window, and looked at the framed photo on my desk. Me and my team at the ribbon cutting of our new clinic. That was the real victory. Not the money. Not the headlines. Just knowing that every time someone said no to me, I built something bigger anyway. So no, I never sent the Whittakers a thank you card. But sometimes, late at night, I think about that dinner table. And I whisper, just for me, "You wanted me ambitious. You got your wish."